Eyes closed and dreams go free. Got an angel next to me. Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Captain Rion, we got him on the run. Captain Rion.
Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time, and love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars. I turn up the stars for you. Forget your past.
All right, now I'm going to stay in like catch, my family, and welcome to another Team Light Interviews with my brother, Nate Zeleznick. What's up, my brother? What's crushing? What's going on?
Rion, I am stoked to be here. I have to say that new trailer you mentioned, man, that is totally that's absolutely fire. That was so cool. I was actually dancing while it was going on.
Yeah. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. So, I mean, we are here, the gathering of the Titans, you're my secret weapon, bro. I mean, people don't know. I mean, you have some skill sets, you have some knowledge, you have some wisdom and some techniques, especially for this conference coming up in Bastrop, our solar activation. There's just so many things and gifts that you have to share. So I'm really excited that you're going to be guiding everyone on Monday before the eclipse happens. I mean, you're right before, and then the sound bath happens. It's going to be your show as far as helping the audience and everyone there, develop their chi, how to move energy, all that stuff. So I just wanted to share share you to the world. Let everyone know, who you are and what you're about, especially with your new Integrated Ascension Method. Without further ado, ladies and gents, Nate, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, some of these teaching methods that you use and some of the things that you're into right now.
Fantastic. Thank you, Rion. So let me go ahead and I'll start off with my name, where I'm from, my mission, vision, my purpose, and a fun fact about me, and then I'm going to dive into that. So my name is Nate Zeleznick. I'm originally from outer space, as we all are, but I live in Huntsville, Utah, a very small mountain town in Utah, and my mission is to empower as many high-level influencers as possible to help millions of people not just survive, but thrive in the upcoming ecological and social changes that are happening and energetic from outside this planet. Now, I do this in a very specific and very special way, as one of only 2 Americans allowed to steward a very special form of breathwork, energy development and chi building, meditation, energy healing, and extrasensory perception that I've been able to prove to medicine and science, quantum physics, neuroscience over the past 24 years that we can literally see with our mind. It's not necessary to have our eyes for some people. But that said, fun fact about me, not a lot of people know. In 2007, during one of my martial arts tests, because this energy art does come from a very special royal family system of martial arts out of Central Java, Indonesia. And I'm the first person outside of Indonesia ever allowed to learn this. Now, in 2007, when I was doing an advanced belt rank test, I died. This is not a strip mall martial art. This is the real deal that you see in movies where sometimes people do die, and there have been numerous fatalities in this test, and I was one of them, and I chose to come back. Now, I don't know if that's a fun fact, but it is a fact. So to tell you more about who I am and what I do, what I'm bringing to the Bastrop event. In 1999, after many years growing up in a small mountain town, being bullied and being suicidal when I was a preteen, starting to have out-of-body projections when I was about 12, and really knowing from an early age that I'm much more than just my physical body, having been involved in martial arts and wanting to be a ninja and a Jedi for my whole life, ever since I first saw Star Wars and my first
That's what I'm talking about.
Shokosugi ninja movie back in the 80s with B movies, and not having any access to that, and then having these amazing mystical experiences happen for me. Well, starting to study martial arts when I was about 16 to be able to protect myself from the bullying, I didn't really have an outlet as far as the spiritual aspect that I always knew was present in the martial arts. But if you go to your local strip mall martial arts, you're not going to find much meditation. You're not going to find a sensei or a sifu that knows energy work. It's not their fault. They just were not taught. And so that was something where I figured if I wanted to learn those things, I would have to go to Asia. And I just wasn't going to give up my American food and girls and college. And so I had a synchrodestiny happen for me when I was 23, and it involved seeing a videotape of Indonesian people who could see blindfolded, and these people were fighting full contact, bare knuckles, with blindfolds and hoods on. Military people were able to shoot targets out of people's hands while they had a hood on, and it even had blind people who could read printed material, and their eyes were white as a sheet. And I was really skeptical. But the next day, after I first saw that video, I watched a blind woman almost die right in front of me. She tried to cross the road with her dog, and the dog led her face first into the light pole. And that was my sign from the universe, my higher self, inner being, God. Hey, you have an opportunity right here for your life path. You've always wanted to help people. You have this amazing heart. You've always been a really sensitive kid. It's time you actually do something with it. And so I went on a mission to find those people that I saw on the videotape, and I did. And I brought them to here to Utah, and I got to see blind people do things that anybody with normal eyesight can do and more. Now, they had never allowed a non-Indonesian person to learn it, so that wasn't even part of my plan. I just wanted to help them get a traction here. I knew in my soul, in my heart, that I had to help these blind people. And when they were about to leave after being here for about 2 weeks, they told me, Nate, you're going to be the very first person that we've allowed to learn this that is not Indonesian. And there just so happened, because obviously accidents are all over in the universe, right?
Right.
There just so happened to be a senior trainer of this art, which is called Merpati Putih, which that's the Indonesian words for white dove. There just happened to be a trainer within an hour of me. Of 3 people in the whole country that could train me, 1 lived within an hour. And so I started training with him a week later, and a couple weeks after that, one of my younger brothers joined me, and we were able to go and advance through the ranks higher than any other non-Indonesian people will be allowed to. The royal heirs, both of them, before they passed on, decreed that we would be the only ones to go as high as we could through the ranks. And so I've been to Indonesia 3 times for long training sabbaticals, near-death experience in 2007 during one of the tests, and I've had the opportunity to be trained by the royal heirs, that are both of whom are no longer living, and also one of the 12th generation heirs, actually both of them, one of whom is also no longer on the planet, and so many of the master trainers that for 24 years I've been training thousands of people in this method. And one thing, you notice what I said, method. It's not a belief structure. It's not based upon being born in a certain culture or believing a certain thing or hitting a bell and going Ramalama Ding Dong, or having something that you have to convince yourself is real. You experience it, then you know it, then it's real, then you can do it. And for me, growing up in a very science-minded household, also, being curious, but not being just the average fool that will just believe everything. I had to experience it for myself. I had to see these blind people. I had to then take this journey, which has been decades in the making, to then land here at the Integrated Ascension Method, which combines this Merpati Putih amazing breathwork that's, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people out there that do breathwork, and it's all wonderful. But I would like to ask all the viewers out there what the difference is between a Toyota, a Ferrari, and let's say the Starship Enterprise. There's a big difference. They are all modes of travel, but one is literally light years beyond the others. And when I first got to train in Merpati Putti, and I got to see this for myself, this is before breathwork was popular. This Wim Hof was
Right.
not known. Nobody knew about it. I mean, people were doing holotropic with Stanislav Grof's method, and obviously breathwork's been going on for about 3,000 or 4,000 years.
Mhm.
But this is completely unique. It stands alone because it's not just about hyperventilation or slow breathing. It's also about very controlled long breath holds and hypoxic training, which, I mean, if you want to talk about immediately raising your stamina, your immune system function, your brain mental function, your ability to perceive and control flow and project energy, there is nothing like this in the world. And I'm just honored, Rion, that you have invited me down to the event in this solar activation.
Hey.
I'm going to be teaching something to all the people who were there that I swear to God, I swear to me, because we are all gods.
Our source. Swear to
I swear
source
to
here.
us.
Yeah. Yes.
The only people who learn this particular technique are the most advanced trainers in Merpati Putti, period. And I will be training people how to do this in a way that helps us harness directly the energy of the sun in a way that none of you have ever experienced. It's going to be mind-blowing. And you're just hearing this first time of what I'm bringing.
Yeah,
to
I
you.
know. This is all
It's
new.
gonna be
Like
next
I'm
level.
watching live with you guys going, wait, what? Ladies and gentlemen, you wanted a true Jedi to teach us. I put my intent out into the universe about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, where is my trainer? Where is my breathwork trainer? Where is, my sensei to teach me some of these supernatural abilities? And I feel like many of us born in the Western world, similar to when you were a child, we don't have this reflection. Like you said, we have Mal Karate or Taekwondo. And, I was in mixed martial arts in Hermosa Beach when I was younger, but there was no spiritual aspect to it. It was more form and function and repetition. So for everyone out there coming to, Bastrop, I really wanted to share something special with all of you. And Nate is that individual to share that with you. We not only have an amazing conference with very gifted speakers, light workers, light healers, and light warriors, but there was something else, that I wanted to do. When this electromagnetic grid resets, and we have about 4.5 minutes of, it basically goes dark in the middle of the day, right? And we see the ring of fire, hence why we're in Bastrop, Texas. We rented out the convention center. I truly wanted the right beings, you guys out there, to be there with us to really hold that frequency of light, vibration, manifestation, and the true embodiment of what the human potential is. And the true embodiment of the human potential, we're just scratching the surface at. And I believe that with a lot of these distractions and things that are coming into our life with, certain, aspects of certain technologies and whatnot, I just want everyone to be reminded that you are wearing the ultimate technology, your body, your spirit, your soul. You are embodied in it, in spirit, So, I just wanted, Nate to come on and share some of his gifts. Obviously we don't have to do any techniques right now, but I just want everyone to know that, for those who are showing up, this is something that has not happened before. It's not only on the planet with this alignment. We're not going to have another solar eclipse till 2044, last one over North America for 20 something years. But not only that, just meeting your family, coming out, hanging out, learning something new. And many of you gifted Jedi out there, you know who you are, ladies and gents out there. I want to make sure that you guys have the best tutelage, the best people, the best family to meet and interact with. I want only the best. And I feel that, Nate on his journey, when he had to go to Indonesia, he had to find these specific people. What he doesn't say is that, Nate, weren't you one of the trainers on the show Supernatural that is on Gaia and helped teach some of those kids how to see with a blindfold on? Go ahead, let them know.
Yeah, so Superhuman, it's called Superhuman, the Invisible Made Visible. And it's been featured on Gaia, Amazon Prime, and Netflix. And at the very end, where it says people that are seeing blindfolded, shopping in grocery stores while they have blindfolds on, and they're doing some amazing things. Yes, those are my students. And there are other people in the world training these abilities, but not the way that we do it. They do it as a purely mental technique. Ours is a full body technique because every single one of our cells, we have average person about 37 trillion cells. we have some interesting things happening in ourselves that a lot of people are not aware of. And just on a biological basis, it's extraordinary that every one of our cells is doing roughly 6 trillion functions a second. So if you take 6 trillion times 37 trillion, it's mind blowing. Your brain leaks out of your ears thinking about what our body is doing on a moment by moment, millisecond basis. Now, when you couple that with the fact that we have light sensors light receptors in every single cell. A good friend of mine who's a physicist, his wife has seasonal affective disorder. For those people who don't know what that is, that's where during the cold and darker months of the winter in the northern hemisphere or southern, some people go into a depressed state because they're not getting enough vitamin D or whatever it might be. Well, my friend is a physicist, and his wife uses these blue light diodes that go in her ears, and they shine this blue light onto her eardrums, and it gets rid of her depression. So why would we have light receptors in the middle of our ears? Well, thing is that we're all light. That's what we are. Einstein even talked about this as well, that there is no matter. Matter is simply light that has been slowed down so that we are able to perceive it.
Yes.
So, I mean, not that he knew anything or anything, it's just Einstein. But, the thing is that a lot of people get so locked into this is all that there is. And in fact, according to physics, all atoms is light that is phasing in and out of existence about 1/septillionth of a second. So actually, nothing actually exists other than energy. And we talk about that. Yes, everything is energy. But here's the difference. A lot of people say that, and because they've read it, and maybe they believe it. My purpose, my vision, my mission is to help people experience it so they know it. It's not a belief. And once you ring that bell, you can't unring it. And that's what I love doing for as many people as I possibly can before it's my turn to let this go back to where we came from on the planet and refertilize, move on to the next thing, or come back and do this all again in a different body.
Definitely. I can say with vibration and being activated, let's talk about some cool things now. Now that we know the level of Jedi we are receiving with my brother. Everything is vibration. When I first woke up in 2009, I had the Tesla shake in Manhattan Beach, California, where I woke up. And basically, my third eye kind of came on. It's been documented in all the videos since 2010 when I made my first one. But, I told my guides, pour it on, dump it on. And what did that mean was in dream time, and every single time I laid down, my body would shake and convulse because what was happening was I was at a lower density than the vibration or data needed to run into this suit. I know as a matter of fact that everything is vibration, energy, sound, right, and light, truly. And to realize that we are all activating our dormant DNA, we are all raising our vibrations. We need to use all of the tools and these ancient, scripts and these ancient techniques, which my brother is so lucky to know, and to share this knowledge with the planet. And I think that's truly what your life path and purpose is. I mean, what better life path would you ever want than I'm here to make everyone on Earth a Jedi and learn how to move energy and feel themselves for the first time. And I feel that many empaths and light workers out there, especially if you're super sensitive. I mean, listen, you live up in the mountains, I live up in the mountains. Okay, there's a reason. Okay, the main thing about that is, in our daily lives, a lot of people live in large cities. We are so inundated with, frequencies, radio waves, Wi-Fi, cell phones, Bluetooth, everything else that's going on in the radio waves, frequency modulation. It's really important that in your own development, you find a resonance, or what I like to say is my base average. And from that base average, I can then deduct if I am being affected in a negative way, if I am lethargic for a weird reason. For me, it's going to be the gym, working out, eating right, taking care of myself, my daily meditations, getting that vitamin D from the sun when I can. Even in the winter months, I recommend if you haven't seen the sun in 3 weeks and you live in somewhere in the northern hemisphere, make sure you're taking that vitamin D3. Make sure you're taking all your vitamins. You know what I mean? But with a lot of the things that we're doing, to feel your energy course through you once again is something every human being needs to understand and go through. Why? It gives you a different perspective of reality. What Nate teaches is a different reflection of reality in which you are truly part of not only this simulation, but life. So some people for the first time may be feeling their heartbeat course through their cells, or feel energy course through their body, or have their eyes closed and go, I don't know what's going on, but I see light coming through my pineal gland. I don't know what this breathing technique is, but I feel like my strength has tripled. There's certain things that once you really start to practice and utilize the suit, your God's gift of being on this planet, your true avatar. What if I told you that everyone over here, we've been dumbed down to such a level that you may be using 2 to 5% of your maximum potential in this suit? What if I told you that every human being should be telekinetic, telepathic? My brother literally teaches blind people to see with blindfolded, or they can't see in general, being completely blindfolded. And if you watch that show, Superhuman, there are kids rollerblading through cones blindfolded. There are kids shopping in a grocery store grabbing ketchup off the wall completely blindfolded. So this is a factual thing. This is not a belief thing. And I think, Nate, maybe share a little more information for people like, what is this? I'm like, no, people need to know this is 100,000% real,
Absolutely. Most of us understand that there have been other civilizations besides this modern human version that we're living through right now. The ancient Egyptians, as an example, now we're not going back to Atlantis, Lemuria, and the other ones way before them. Just going back to ancient Egypt, they said in their hieroglyphics that we have 360 senses, not 5, 360. Now, with the things that we've been able to do with the Integrated Ascension Method, which I love the acronym, which is I am. I mean, it's the most powerful phrase that you could utter in the English language, and it is the name of God is given to Moses on Mount Sinai, that I am that which I am. And, with all these things that we can actually do, the thing is we're all a product of our programming, right? So if you look at, say, I live here in Utah, where there's the Mormon religion, and they believe certain things that I do not. I wasn't raised in their paradigm. But they, just like many people who were very devout Muslim or Christian, they will defend that, sometimes to the death, right? Here's the interesting thing. Nobody, and not one single person, has proof of what they're doing. They just have a strong belief. And I know that's controversial. And I may get some flack for that, and that's just fine. My question is always prove it. Can you prove it? What you're talking about, can you prove it? And say, no. Okay, that's fine. Believe what you want. If it resonates with your heart, it helps you have a better life. Awesome. I'm in the business of helping people actually wake up, prove, and know, because belief is a poor substitute for knowledge. It's an ineffective one. And so with these things, like, say, Superhuman, the invisible made visible, and also numerous documentaries, and had this documented by some of the best neuroscientists in the world, that they've never seen anything like this. As a matter of fact, people who are familiar with Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe's former chief neuroscientist, evaluated are people who could see without their eyes. And not everybody is able to do that. I want to make sure I'm fully transparent about that. Very few people are able to develop that skill. Children have a much easier time than adults. But here's the interesting thing. Just like the X-Men, maybe you can levitate, maybe you can teleport, maybe you can light things on fire with your hand. Everybody's got a unique skill, and that's what the Integrated Ascension Method does, is it unlocks whatever your intrinsic skills are. And we may have 360 senses, right? But I'm not going to go out there and try to outrun Usain Bolt. I'm not going to try to outswim Michael Phelps. I'm not going to try to compose music better than Mozart. We have our own skills. They had their own skills. They cannot do the other things that the other people did, because we're not here to do everything. We're here to do what we're here to do, which is have experience. And I'm going to go into a weird location, but it's weird for most people. It won't be for this audience. So we're here to have experience, full stop. That's all there is to it. And it's ongoing, and you cannot turn it off. You could try, but you can't. And even the thought of, I'm not having an experience, is an experience. So then I asked a question on a regular basis to my students, and also to myself, because I'm still a student.
Right.
By no means the master.
Always consummate students. Yes.
Exactly. I asked a couple questions that are very important. First of all, what would I prefer to experience now? Because as divine creators, literally we are gods. we have the opportunity to experience things in the way that we desire, the things that we prefer. We bring every single thing to ourselves for a reason, as to have experience. And if it's not what you prefer, then it just makes sense that what you're doing is your higher being is giving you the opportunity to then experience and change what you're experiencing and choose different so you can have something that's more optimal. So first is asking that question, what would I
Want to experience?
what do I prefer to experience now? And the second thing, especially if you're having things that you don't prefer, is asking, how is this for me? Not how did I bring this, or what is the lesson, but how is this for me? And we have this amazing brain that it's a question answering system. That's what it does. We answer the question of what blue and red and yellow are as we're growing up and being babies. We answer the question of what does the word cat mean as we're learning language, right? So we're always answering questions with our brain. But if we start saying, and most people do, this is the way it is, this is the box that I have labeled all things in, we shut ourselves off from the infinite possibilities that it could actually exist. We ask a question, how is this for me? Our brain wants to find an answer. And we come up with some pretty amazing, incredible, creative things about how our soul has brought this to us to have this experience, and then choose a different path. And then also the second question of so first of all, what do I prefer to experience now? And how is this for me?
Yes.
How is this for me? By asking those questions, it's amazing what comes out, because we're all a lot smarter, meaning our consciousness is not limited to our body, not even close.
Right.
We're a lot smarter than we've been told we are or we've ever experienced. And once we start to ask questions and we start to, like you had mentioned, with your shakes, your Tesla shakes.
Yeah, Tesla shakes. I mean, I say that as in reference to Nikola Tesla with the technology he was utilizing, hence millions of volts, going through the room, going through, he was in the atmospheric energy of these devices. He had the Tesla shake every single night he was convulsing. When he was awake, sitting there in the chair with a huge, transformer cranking behind him, they go, who are you talking to? He was like, God. What I'm getting to, God, I mean, think about the things he created. I mean, out of everyone on the planet Earth, he's pretty dang close to pulling down those downloads on a huge planetary scale. Right. But, when you talk about belief, you talk about the human potential. There's a lot of things that slow people down. And I know that we have all gone through our own trials and tribulations to create our own belief system that we feel comfortable with our own free will. And truly, it's the release of fear. I find a lot of people have many gifts, okay? They have a lot of gifts. And it's like we all showed up here with all these gifts. And the only thing this place has done in this physical reality that I've seen on a global scale is keep people in a low vibrational state of fear or ego, which does not allow, to be clear, your gifts to expand and your DNA to activate. Same thing with the reptilian part of the brain. Did you know that in the secret space program, when they're teaching operators to be more telekinetic, right? Telepathic, remote view on a much larger scale, the first thing a human being has to do is be able to turn off the reptilian part of the brain. And you would think to yourself, well, why does everyone have a reptilian part of the brain in the first place? Well, did you know there are beings on this planet known as the Dogons in Africa who don't? They were not cross-hybridized. There are beings on this planet. So I'm not trying to, point fingers at the reptilians. What I'm trying to say is this: there are levels to this game. There are levels to your experience. There's levels to how much consciousness you can broadcast, right, through your stream of consciousness. And true students would honestly change their belief system daily. Other than, I want to be a good person. I come from my heart. I love my creator. I want to help everyone on planet Earth. But as far as my reality, looking out and reflecting off everything around me, it should be a daily operational firmware update. It should never stay the same. And how many times have we driven, if you don't believe me, you guys ever driven into a town that looks like it's trapped in the 70s or trapped in the 80s? You ever going into a grocery store in some, some little town in the middle of nowhere, and you walk in and you're like, is this a time machine? What is going on here? You ever been to your grandma's house and smelt the carpet? What is that smell? That's dead skin cells, son. That's what that is. That's what happens. That's called dead skin cells when someone's 90 years old. What I'm getting to you, ladies and gentlemen, there are real reflections around you at all times. Japan, for example, lives like they're living in the future compared to how we live over here in the United States. Do you think they're worrying about a toilet paper run? Every single one of them has a sophisticated toilet that's literally talking to them and, would you like more heat on your butt cheeks while you do your thing? I mean, that's happening right now. So what we have to realize is we're all living in different honeycombs of time. Some beings out there are ready for the next level, that human 5.0. Some beings are ready for 5D. Some beings are ready for the higher frequencies of reality to pour and course through them once again. So as we come together and as we share all of our gifts, hence what Team Light stands for, okay? Team Light is a round table. Unlike all these other things out there, we are a round table of equals sharing our gifts with the world, period. And I think that even after some of these financial changes, which are taking place right now on Earth, to be absolutely clear, it's happening right now. Okay, all of a sudden you're going to hear it on the news and go, oh my God, this is what Rion was talking about. When these days come and this true golden age begins, I want the strongest, most well-adapted, integrated, and honestly, all of those that have done their shadow work to step forth. Listen, the brighter the light you are, the greater the shadow you cast. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? So what I'm trying to say for everyone out there, it's okay to go through trials. It's okay to not know. It's okay to adjust your belief system, okay? But there's no reason why in whatever belief system that everyone on this earth can't believe in prosperity, sovereignty, peace, freedom, and love. Any belief system that's not really operating on those pistons needs to be questioned. That's all I'd like to say about that, brother. Now, I know you have some different interpretations, and so maybe tell me, what does this old Indonesian, martial art and like the elders that taught you, like, what is their history? Where do they believe they downloaded or learned this special techniques and these techniques? Like, where does it come from?
Yeah, so interesting, because in the Mataram Kingdom, the second Mataram dynasty in Indonesia, the Sultan, his name was Prabu Amangkurat. Long name, but he was a Sultan, and as it was relayed to me by the heirs, that he disappeared for a little while. He went to India and came back with these amazing breathwork techniques. Now, it's very obvious to me, having studied Kriya, Kundalini, and Pranayam, that this is a hybrid of those. It's a combination. It's a synergistic blending of them, but with a supercharger on it. It does the Integrated Ascension Method breathwork has elements of those. So if you're familiar with all of those, this would seem like, well, it kind of seems familiar, but it would be kind of like looking at a bobcat or looking at a Bengal tiger. It's like, yeah, they're both felines. One's just way more powerful than these other ones. And it's like maybe they had a similar ancestry, but I don't actually know. As far as the downloading, that's been lost to the annals of time.
Right.
But what we do know is that for 11 generations, down from the Sultan to his son to his daughter, so the Sultan's granddaughter, and then she split this branch up into 3 areas. One was internal medicine and herbology, one was the martial arts and the inner power generation, and one was politics.
500 years ago, the tutelage that gentleman was a part of may have been very similar to 1500 years before that when Yeshua walked the earth. That's what I'm trying to say is, where is the lesson plan coming from? You know what I mean? That's what we're really trying to break down here. It's like, well, how did he learn all these supernatural things? And why did Yeshua, or Jesus, right? Even though his name, he was around before the letter J was invented, but we're not going to go into that right now. But Yeshua learned all of these cool supernatural healing techniques, how to walk on water, water into wine, literally manifesting fish in buckets for people to eat. Like all these special things. What was the tutelage? What was the knowledge that was unlocked in Yeshua? what were these lessons? You know what I'm saying? Because you're literally talking about in this present time, you can teach. Yeah, if you're blind, I can teach you how to see. I mean that sounds like a supernatural thing. You know what I mean?
It is, and yet it's not. And I'm just going to go this way to say, like I mentioned before, the Egyptians with their 360 senses, these are not superhuman. And that's the reason I say
Hmm.
that is
Okay.
I prefer the term future human,
Okay.
not superhuman. Superhuman denotes that other people don't have that and you are therefore better than. Superman was better than other man, right? Or woman, because he was Kryptonian and he had all these superpowers. He was super,
Hmm.
meaning better than. I don't really believe that. I think that we all have, and because
Our
that's what
superpowers.
I've seen the people that are most unassuming develop these superpowers or future powers that it's honestly not about powers, Rio. It's not, because those are just the things that we can see on the outside from an external perspective.
In the physical.
It's yes, well, not just the physical. They're observational by other people, which is good because it helps increase their faith that it is possible. And when Jesus healed the blind and he healed people with leprosy, he said, "Greater things than this ye shall do as well." He
Yes.
wasn't That wasn't lip service. He was saying we all have the ability. We are all infinite, unlimited, divine, creative beings here on the planet. You can do these things that I'm showing you how to do. It just got so distorted and so convoluted that, of course, the church said, well, you cannot get to God but by me. So the Catholics were gurus, basically. And I'm not a guru. I have no interest
No.
in doing that whatsoever because we are all infinite, unlimited, powerful beings of consciousness. And on the highest level, and this might blow people's mind out of the water, if you move beyond duality, there are no Dogons, there are no Pleiadians, there are no Greys, there are no humans, there are
Mm.
no monkeys. We are all the divine source having experience in our own
The
frequencies
unified
and realms.
field.
And from that 50 billion light year perspective,
Right.
we're all the same being having different experiences as a probe of source to send information back. Now, that
Yes.
doesn't really help you if you're, say,
Hmm.
being raped, or if you are being abducted, or if you stub your freaking toe. You're like, oh my God, this is
Right.
really real. I know matter doesn't really exist, but right now it really, really, really exists.
Mm.
And when we do these things, though, we're just sending information back to source. And I say that after a near death experience where I died and came back to life in 2007, as I mentioned, and numerous out of body experiences, and being a long-time student of the Monroe Institute, of the CIA's Stargate program, of these different things where it's been demonstrated and I've experienced it as truth, as knowledge. You can't ever take it away from me because it's not a belief
No, you
that we are
experienced
here in
it.
our
Yeah.
physical body, but we're much more than just energy. We're much more than just consciousness. We are the all. We are part of the all, having
Hmm.
different experiences. So, with that in mind, one of the things that I really love to do is I love to help people awaken. And I say awaken rather than develop, because what we're doing is really, we're just helping people to remember how powerful they really are. It's always there, it never
Right.
went away.
Right.
You're the infinite, unlimited, eternal being, period. Full stop. That's on the highest level. But what is to say that we cannot, in a moment, as Buddha said, you can attain enlightenment in a second? Well, what is to stop anybody from doing certain practices that will then help them do that? And, they've got the siddhis in the Indian traditions where people can
Yep.
levitate, bilocate, see without their eyes, hear without their ears.
Hmm.
But those are simply distractions, honestly. They're distractions from our real goal, which is to have experience and to advance and raise the level of our consciousness until we actually become fully aware of our infinite, eternal, unlimited nature.
Right. When everyone begins to understand that we are eternal beings, and that when your consciousness and subconscious become one, and you start to realize that you are an eternal soul, a vibratory being, right? A star being, right? Made from the stars, vibrating through the membrane of this physical reality. I mean, to be clear with you, there's only this much density holding you in that suit at any point in time. All of these abilities, all of this awareness comes flooding back to you. And I think it's really important to realize and understand that as you adapt and as you come to a sense of maturity that to wield this type of consciousness, power, knowledge, wisdom, your old memories coming back, your ancient dormant DNA reactivating, that you have to have an open mind, specifically with what could be coming through the pipeline. A lot of this reality is a false narrative. A lot of this reality was a manipulation. Once we truly figure out and remember who we are and how we have been adapting ourselves to interact in a way in this modern world, you may begin to realize that a lot of this stuff is manipulation. And with that also comes the integrity and diversity and the transmutation necessary to become one with everything, meaning above duality, light and dark, but truly the embodiment of what is possible, what is necessary, and what are you really trying to experience. Definitely agree with the future human concept instead of superhuman, because we all have these innate abilities. And that information about Egypt and how they believe we had 360 senses,
Yeah.
that is just awesome. You know, any idea what some of those other senses may be?
Well, if you think about it this way, we have all these different receptors in our body, and so the answer is yes. So we have heat receptors, we have cold receptors, balance receptors, proprioceptors that tell us where we are in space. We have nociceptors, which nociception is pain. We all know those ones really well. They trump kind of all the other ones. We have things like electromagnetoreceptors. We have these different receptors in our body that, a good friend of mine who, as I mentioned, one of the top neuroscientists for Joe Dispenza, and he's actually one of the most famous neuroscientists in the world. When I asked him, I said, Dr. Jeff, how fast is the brain? I've read different things, and, if anybody's going to know, he's the one. And I asked, how fast does our left brain, our logical brain, how fast can it actually compute things? And he said, 40 to 50 bits of information per second. 40 to 50, that's all. So if you think about it, that's like 50 frames per second, right? That's all that our left brain can actually compute. And I asked him, what about the right brain or the subconscious? And he said 40 billion bits per second. So you got to think that the right side of our brain, the subconscious and the superconscious, is recording things at a billion times more information more quickly than our thinking brain does. So with that in mind, we've got all these, like I mentioned, 6 trillion processes per cell with 37 plus trillion cells. And this is all on autopilot. This is governed by a much higher intelligence than we can possibly fathom. And it's on autopilot so that we get to, walk down the street and not have to think of every single step and how every single cell is engaging with the ground or moving through space, or all of its individual perceptions. We're not telling ourselves we have to digest. We're not telling ourselves that we have to take in a certain amount of light in order to constrict our pupils in order to make sure that we're not blinded by the light, right? So these are just a couple ideas as far as what they are. But some of the other things that I have personally witnessed as far as abilities, if you will say, I've seen the 11th generation heir, when he was alive, of Marpati Puji, control the ocean. And literally he drew the Indian Ocean up the beach as a funnel to me and my brother and some other people in the middle of the night in Java. And it was a full moon. We had a Discovery Channel crew there with their lights, and I swear to God, I've never seen anything like it before or since. But he actually called the ocean to him, and it was dry on both sides of us, up and down the entire beach. But about 150 or so feet up the beach, this water, it was straight up out of like the abyss. So seeing somebody control nature like that, or make an agreement with Mother Nature to do that, it was again an ability that proved to us it's possible and set forth in motion possibilities. But obviously, seeing without eyes is one, remote hearing is another one, seeing the future, what's actually happening, maybe not 5 years from now, but like in the next 5 minutes. Well, okay, that's a smaller timeline that might be easier, and people have that. There are other things like bilocation, being able to be in one place and converse, and be in another place and converse, or experience there too, and be witnessed by other people in that location, and actually on both. And I know a person that would mess with people and do that in Java. He'd be on different sides of the country talking to his family members, and they'd argue about where he was, but he was in both places at once. Now, I never saw this personally, but is it possible? Absolutely. Considering none of this is actually physical or real, and it's all just light that's slowed down and it's phasing in and out of existence a septillion times a second, well, what is possible, or what's basically really what's not possible? So, as far as all the other 340 that I did,
Hey, look, that's a lot more than 5. That's a lot more than 5.
Right?
6,
Amen.
You know?
Amen. Amen. I'm not sure of all of them, but the cool thing is our brain, like I said, is a question answering machine. So if we ask the question, say in a quantum question kind of way, which for people who are out there who are familiar with Brian Ridgway and his amazing work with level 5 mentoring, he's got these different kinds of questions that he asks called quantum questions. Things like, why is it true that I can easily and effortlessly perceive far beyond my 5 senses anytime I so choose, and I'm able to interpret that data so that it makes perfect sense to me at all times? And how is it also true that I've always been able to do this, will always be able to do this, and it's easy for me and to help others learn how to do this too? So if you see what I did there, I didn't just ask, why can I do this? Why is it possible? Or how is it true? When I ask a question that way, the brain and the consciousness wants to find the answer. And by asking questions like that, it's amazing what comes out. So that's a little bit of a tangent there, but to come back, that is also a future power, a superpower, if you will. Having the right answer is smart, but asking the right question is brilliant.
Yes, I find that actually the mastery, especially when you're interacting with your higher selves or in deep meditations, it's really not the answer you seek. It's truly the way you offer that question up and having the knowledge behind the scenes to ask a very educated, enlightened question, you'll find is a lot more difficult than is going, oh, I think I know the answer. No. The question has so many facets to what the universe really chooses to share with you, because we all have different perceptions. From this perspective, this is the right answer. From this perspective, this is the right answer. So the more specific you are with your questions, that literally is the steps towards your own individual mastery. So with that, my brother, I want to save some for the conference. I'm just pumped to have you. Let's work on the other 355 senses.
Yes.
I'm on that tip. Somebody give me that. Where's that scroll hidden under the Sphinx? Give me that scroll. But how can everyone find you? I know you have a lot of different things that you're doing right now. What's the easiest way for people to get in contact with you?
When I rebranded just a few months ago, I was so blessed that what I think is one of the sexiest websites I could ever have possibly gotten was available. It's I am pure, not .com. It's iampure.energy. So I am pure energy. And I'd like to say a thank you to you, because when we were wrapping out when I was in Sedona, and you're like, oh man, this is a place for you to go with this, and you need to do this. And then a lot of market research and a lot of soul searching and really divination on what is the most powerful name that I could possibly do. Integrated Ascension Method, I am. And
that's fire.
I am pure.energy, man. Wow. And so when people go there, they can get a free class right on my homepage. They can also get my new book, which is called Awakening. And so it's called Awakening Transformation. Now, when they go for my digital courses, though, these are things unlike anything you'll find in any other place. First of all, it's got the breathwork of the Javanese kings. Unique. There's nothing like it. No matter what kind of breath work you've done or meditation you have done, you've never done this. I can guarantee you that. And it produces amazing results very quickly. That's my LEAP program, which is my Life Force Energy Ascension Protocol, LEAP. And that one just supercharges every single cell in your body and the electricity, and we can actually measure this. Every day, 5 minutes a day, you will feel like $1 million. But you only do that one on the days you want to feel awesome. But on the other one, my masterclass, I teach people how to eliminate or lessen pain using their mind. Another one on using their breath, how to use different circular strength training mobility exercises to increase our range of motion, but also help us recover from pain and injury faster. How to start to feel, flow, and project our energy and start to feel it in a totally new way. And then how to refresh your energy. And literally, if you've ever had a food coma after lunch or anything where you just have that midday lull. This, in literally 2 minutes or less, can take you to a full, clear-headed, very energized state without the jitters of coffee or caffeine or a chemical substance that is exogenous. This is your endogenous way of producing more chi in your body very quickly, and that's my masterclass. So I've got those two things right there. So Leap,
That's awesome.
masterclass. Oh, it just blows people away.
Dude, well, hey, brother, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this show. I'll put all the links and everything below and on the description. And for Bastrop, April 7th, April 8th, 2024, this is going to be the great gathering. This is a place for those like-minded, like-hearted people to come together. And I'm just so excited to have you there teaching us, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this broadcast.
Thank you, Rion.
All right, brother. Till next time. Peace.
Eyes closed and dreams go free. Got an angel next to me. Hold me close so I can breathe. Let me go so I can live. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time.
Captain Rion, we got him on the run.
Captain Rion. Where do we go from here? Take me far away, so we can stop the time, and love will take its place. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the stars for you. It will be tonight when I turn off the world for you. It will be tonight when I turn up the stars. I turn up the stars for you. Forget